Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So today we're going to learn how to pup bromeliads. That's where we're going to take this and separate them into individual plants. So you know what? The sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing. It's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun and let's pup some bromeliads. So one of the neat things about bromeliads is that the vast majority propagate themselves vegetatively. It's called pupping. They send out vegetative offsets, and that makes brand new plants. Take a look at this. This is a Bilbergia. I think it's Casablanca. It is really, really green. It's been growing in the shade. And what I want to show you today is the different ways that we can separate the pups from the adult plant and make ourselves new plants. Come on, let's get started. So to begin with, do you have to pup your bromeliad? Do you have to break them apart? The answer is no. Now, if it's a species, that means that it grows out in the wild. There's nobody with a pair of these to cut them apart. And that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to clump. They do just like this. But you can also break them apart and make new plants. The plant will not know or care. Sometimes they actually pup a little bit more if you take the first offsets off. And really, there's no magic to it. There are a couple ways. I'm going to show you just how to do it. So almost all bromeliads do pup. Sometimes they look like this. This is a Bilbergia. See if I can get that leaf out of the way, give you a better idea. And you can see that this is a clump. This all started out by one plant. This all started out as one plant, and as you can see, there are a lot of plants here. Now I pulled this one out of the ground. This is a Neoregelia Monet. Let's see if we can get some of that color on there. And as you can see, this is a really big clump. So although almost all bromeliads will produce vegetative offsets, all of them will give you pups, almost all. There's a couple that will only propagate by seed. That's where the similarity ends. Remember, the same bromeliad is like same tree. There are oaks, maples, pines, poplars. There are birch, beech. There are all sorts of different trees. They're all trees. And they do about the same things for about the same reasons, but some are big, some are short, some are wide, some are skinny, some live for a long time, some don't. The same thing is true with your bromeliads. Some pup early in their life, some pup about the time that they're going to put out an inflorescence, some wait until the inflorescence is over. Some pup an awful lot, some pup 4 or 5. Some will only put out one pup per plant, so they're all different. So you could see from the first two examples, the first one was a Bilbergia, the second one was a Neoregelia, that the pups were closely pressed to the adult. That means that they grew very, very close together. Now in another video, I've shown you some bromeliads that don't pup real close to the adult, and that's just like this fireball, and maybe you can see the stems that the pups come out on. Now those are stolons, but it's pretty straightforward, and we can do it about the same way with almost every bromeliad. So I've been asked the question an awful lot, what do I take the pups apart with? And honestly, it really doesn't matter. So if you have really big bromeliads, like some of the larger ecamias, this will take them apart. But in most cases, you can use something that's a lot less noisy and a little bit more friendly. Now some of these are really straightforward, and you don't even have to take them out of the pot. All you really have to do is get your shears and go down in the middle. Sometimes you can break them off. I'm going to try to do that here. We'll see whether or not that works. And hardly even in the camera. Sorry guys. And there you go. This is a pup, and I just broke it off of there, and it's all ready to plant. Now, as you can see, there are some roots that are on this. Now, this is a way that works with a lot of the smaller bromeliads, such that you would grow in a 6-inch pot. And as you can see, it broke right off. And then what we would do is we would pull some of the old leaves off of there. Sorry about, I'm having a hard time today getting this in the camera. But anyway, I hope you can see that this is all ready for planting. Now, sometimes if the pups come out below the adult, which they will do sometimes, it makes it a little difficult and you have to pull your bromeliad out of the pot. This one you don't have to do that to, but look, it's pretty easy, and all you would do is you would take it out so that you can get your shears in there. I'm going to put this back. Again, this is a Bilbergia, and I'm going to show you how you can really do it by simply sticking your shears in between the adults and the other pups and cutting it like that, and simply severing the roots like this, and then pulling, and out it comes, and you can see all of the roots. Now with this, the roots are already there. These pups are pretty much full size, and we can even separate these guys. My guess is that I can tear this apart just like that, and now you've got 2 pups ready to put into pots. Now we're going to be going into how to pot bromeliads up in detail in a follow-up video, but today I'm going to show you so that you can do it right away, and there's really no magic to this either. So I have a commercially available mix. It's what I like to use. You can make your own. By the way, a couple videos ago we did show some of the different ways to have bromeliad potting mix, but the biggest thing is that it needs to be able to retain moisture without being sopping wet. So I'm trying to do this. I have the viewfinder in front of me, even though I'm at arm's reach, so I'm going to try and make it so that you can see what we're doing here. So this is the Bilbergia that we just separated. Now you can see the roots. See those? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down in the pot. Now, it's really difficult to see, but I'm about that far down in the pot with the mix, and I don't want to bury this, and I'm just going to fill in around here. Now, I'm not burying the meristem, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to get some extra potting soil over here. So I'm not going to bury the meristem on this, and you don't want to. You don't want to plant this so deep that your meristem stays wet, and I'm going to tamp it down. I'm going to show you in a second what it looks like in the pot. So this is the Bilbergia standing up in its pot, already planted, and you can see that I have staked this, and once it roots it won't need the stakes, but this will give it some degree of stability when I'm moving it from place to place until it roots. So this is a Neoregelia fireball, and as you can see, it's stoloniferous. See the stolon right there? So that makes this really, really easy to pup. I'm going to reach around here. I'm going to get my prunes, and I'm going to try and hold it up and just show you. Now I'm cutting down here on the stolon, down close to the original plant. Again, you can call it a mom if you want to, and all I'm going to do is hold that like that and go like that. Now I'm going to try and get this up in the camera. And what you want to do is you want to pull some of the old leaf bases away from the plant. Okay, so on this plant, what makes this such an easy plant to pup, again, is because of the stolon right here. And you can actually leave this stolon on there to help the plant sit upright in the pot so that your rosette, that's what this is, and you can see the cup right there, or the tank, sits straight up. Okay, so this is the Neoregelia Monet, and this has been sitting pretty much on top of the ground, and you can see right in here, this is where this pup came out, and look, there's another one right there. So I'm going to cut this because I want to show you something. So sometimes you have to do it a couple times, and there are a lot of pups on here. Don't be bashful when you go to cut them, and sometimes they want to root together, so you're going to have to break them apart. And so it comes apart like this. So I'm going to get the biggest mass of that out of the way for just a second. Hold on. So now that I have the Monet separated, I want to show you something. When you go to pup your Bromeliads, there is a certain size where they will do better than others. And what you want to do is you want to wait until the pup, you can see one right here and one right here, is at least 50% the size of the adult. So I would never separate this one. Now, how come that's important? Well, remember that these plants, their leaves are solar collectors. So you see the size of the adult. Well, that is offering carbohydrate to this pup and to this one. So if you separate this pup right here, this small pup, now it has to use a smaller amount of leaves. Remember, the leaves are solar collectors in order to make food for itself. Will it still grow? Yeah, sure it will, but it's going to take it an awfully long time. So we've already separated a pup, so now we're going to get a pup from a pup. Cut this apart, and you can see that this pup is so much larger than the other one. See the size difference between this one right here and this one? So what we're going to do is I'm going to leave this smaller pup right here attached when we go to plant this. This one can stand on its own. It's got plenty of leaves, as you can see. All those leaves, again, are solar collectors, and they will be making food for this plant. And this bromeliad will take all of that carbohydrate and make new roots and new leaves and grow just fine. So this is a Neoregelia tiger, and as you can see, the pup is nearly the size of the adult, and this is in a really big pot. This is in a 9-inch pot. Don't let that scare you. There's a way to do this. And by the way, when you're doing this, have a place you don't mind getting dirty. As you can see, I've made quite a mess. So sometimes I will take the lazy person's way. Well, I'll sometimes do that a little bit more than sometimes. We're not going to do that today, but sometimes you can take your reciprocating saw and get down in between these and separate them. But for now, even though it's going to make one heck of a mess, I'm going to pull this out of the pot and show you how to use the reciprocating saw to separate this. Now, I think you can see there's a space in between them if you take a look right here. And that's where I'm going to put the reciprocating saw blade. And let's see if I can do this and not wreck the camera and still get this cut. And you can break this apart just like that. Now you don't have to continue to use the saw. You can see that I cut through the bottom part of the stem. And then all you do is you just cut like this. Sorry, I'm trying to get this in the frame and hold it at the same time. And anyway, so you can just break it apart just like that. And do some more cutting. Okay, so you can see we've separated the two plants, and I think you can see where it was cut. Now, I've been asked this question before. I don't think there's an easy answer, but some people have read on the internet that you need to let this section right here dry out before you put it into the pot. I have to tell you that I never have, and it's not that I don't want to, it's just when I am pupping, it's time for me to pup, and I'll put this in a pot. It has to do with your potting soil more than anything else. So if your planting mix is easy draining, if it drains freely and does not become soaking, sopping wet, this will dry on its own. Even if you water that potting soil, it will do just fine. So anyway, guys, that was pretty easy. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Now, a word about your cutting tools. We should always be safety conscious, and if you're going to be using something like this, always wear eye protection. You should wear gloves too. Keep both hands on the tool, and you can just as easily cut your bromeliads apart by using your handy dandy pruning shears. They work just as well. Might take a little bit longer, but they're a little bit safer. And the extra bonus is we get new plants. So no matter where you are, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. You need to keep growing, have some fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.